In more recent years, the zombies community has not been the kindest toward new releases, and it's starting to feel like Black Ops 6 could be the make or break game for the mode. Starting during Black Ops 4's lifetime, the game mode has suffered from severe budget cuts, rushed development, and all around has felt pretty soulless. So here's what I, some random guy on the internet with conventionally bad zombies opinions, who's never actually made any video games besides one small one, thinks Treyarch should do to make Black Ops 6 Zombies a success. So I think the first big thing that needs to happen is the perk system needs a real identity. From World at War to Black Ops 3, we knew exactly what to expect when it came to perks. 1 or 2 new ones per map, and we could always get 4 at a time with a single ability upgrade. In my opinion, Black Ops 4 kind of missed the mark when they adjusted the perks, so when Cold War came around it had to be adjusted yet again, this time giving perks a new set of mechanics that one could earn outside of a normal match progression, which has always been a controversial type of system for zombies players. When looking closer at the perk system of Cold War, one big complaint about that game was that a blind and deaf player could probably get to round 300 without issue, and the perk system inside the game was definitely a big factor for that. So here's what I propose. A system that takes the original idea of map-specific perks, plus the ones that are standard on all maps, mixed in with the mechanical changes we saw with the progression of Cold War, but all of them being upgradable inside of one match, similar to a system that Vanguard has. Now wait, before you tell me to try the Toaster Bath Bomb Challenge for suggesting we bring in a mechanic from the Cursed game, hear me out. I think that if we were to lock the perk upgrade purchases behind a round counter, it would help keep people engaged as the rounds increase and give you a use for the excess points you start to hoard. The problem we see in Vanguard is that all they did was make the perk worse until you bought the full version, like how that game's Jug simply increased health by 25 each time. Let's take Speed Cola for an example to show how this could work in a better system. So, you walk up to Speed Cola, and for 3,000 points you get increased reload speed, exactly the same as it is now. Then on round 10, you can spend 2,000 points or so to upgrade it and gain access to higher ammo counts in your guns. Then let's say once you reach round 20, you can spend another set of points for the ability to carry more special grenades or recharge them faster. The rounds for that are just a rough number, and I think it would all depend on how the game flows and when you would reach the point where they feel right to unlock, which is something I can't know without playing the game itself. And with that, the 4 to 5 perk limit should probably be reintroduced, with bonus missions to unlock more slots, akin to a map like Origins. I actually don't think Origins did this the best, it was a very long process, but I think the idea behind it is solid. With a system like that, it doesn't feel bad having to buy worse versions of the perk than we had in previous games, it just allows the game to scale with the player, and it avoids the issue that many players had with a lot of progression being tied to multiple matches and outside of one game. Ultimately, that is just one suggestion, and I do see some flaws with my system if it isn't implemented with a lot of care, because it needs to not feel clunky when waiting for round markers, but overall the perk system does need some sort of change from Cold War. The next major thing is that, and this may be controversial, I'm really not sure, but Treyarch needs to abandon the ability to start with any gun. It doesn't matter if the AR you have is lower tier. The difference between having a pistol and any other type of gun is massive for how the early game plays out. A dual sword is still a sword, you know? And that's one of the many reasons why modern zombies has been too easy. Though they should keep the attachment and camo system, because that doesn't make the weapons overpowered and it's very fun to mess around with. If that does happen, the modern point system won't really function as well and will need to be adjusted or go back to the old one. And I could really take either of them. The new one has the benefit of not punishing you for getting lucky with a really good weapon early on, but comes at the cost of removing the ability to use point guns, which is a solid way to stack points in the mid rounds and a necessity for high round trap strats. Overall, either system could be good for Black Ops 6, it mostly just depends on how the rest of the game plays out. On a similar note, Treyarch should actually keep the gun rarity system that Cold War has. This, in my opinion, was the best way to encourage weapon variety inside the game while not making everything feel the same like it did with Black Ops 3's alternate ammo types. Also from Cold War, the armor system was another great way to keep progression inside the game and should return. And then lastly for the weapons section, Cold War or Infinite Warfare's Pack-a-Punch system is by far the best of the series, and I hope something similar is used in Black Ops 6. Cold War maybe is a bit too expensive on the 3rd upgrade, but you should only have to pack your gun 2 or 3 times to get the full power, with each one giving a massive boost in effectiveness. Now, to piggyback off the point of game progression, Treyarch needs to find a better compromise between accessibility of new players and difficulty for veteran players. Inside of Black Ops 4, they chose to bring the difficulty from how convoluted the eggs and side quests got. Then the community as a whole didn't respond well to that, so the eggs got simple in Cold War, but we were left with easy egg and easy gameplay to complement that. The easiest way to do this would be the Skur Ritual approach. Add a difficulty increase and decrease option, but this can feel a bit lazy if not done properly, Black Ops 4. But with some care and actual gameplay changes, it can work pretty well. If they wanted to avoid doing something like that, then Treyarch should look toward the Black Ops 2 and 1 days, where the maps were, for the most part, casual friendly. Eggs weren't too complex, but there's still fun stuff to do, and most of the time you get the wonder weapon from the box. But the map layouts and systems led to more difficult and challenging gameplay regardless, besides maps like Buried, through the use of intelligently designed maps and choke points. plus a 2-hit down system, but I don't think that's coming back. Basically what I'm trying to get at is the difficulty in those early games a lot of the time came down to how the map was laid out and how difficult it was to navigate it when zombies were coming after you. Not necessarily because the game was working against you with its systems. Moving on from that, one big issue I, and many others, have had with recent zombies is a reliance on remasters and unoriginal maps. Black Ops 4 had no Aether maps. Cold War's first map was half knocked and the other half was a standard military base, which was the same thing with pretty much every other Cold War map. These locations don't feel distinct enough or new enough for players that are hungry for an updated zombies experience. So, this game should not contain any remakes. I know that one of the 2 launch maps is pretty much confirmed to be a transit type map, but from what I've seen, it looks like it's taking the idea of transit, not the location itself. Past that, Treyarch needs to focus on creating 4 DLC maps that take cues from games like Infinite Warfare. Inside of that game, despite having all of the same systems and consistent experience, each map felt entirely unique. Laying up a game on Spaceland or a game from Beasts from Beyond almost felt like a completely different game mode in a good way. And please God, no more military bases. Whether you love it or hate it, Gobblegums are back. With how Activision handled microtransactions from Black Ops 4 onward, this can honestly be a pretty scary thing, but if it's done right, I think this has potential to be great. Overall, the community loved the gums inside of Black Ops 3. And part of that might have been due to not having very much microtransaction fatigue yet, but if Activision is willing to do this in a way that doesn't require players to spend a lot of real-life money just to get a backlog of fun and powerful gums, this will be an amazing thing for the gameplay and for the community. But the primary way of getting these has to be in-game. In a perfect world, there's like a salvage system, not requiring loot boxes or luck spins at all, but that's probably just a pipe dream. So long as 80 to 90% of players can get most of their gums from just playing the game, I think this can be good. But I don't trust Activision that much, so we'll see. And finally, Black Ops 6 needs to be entirely focused on round-based gameplay. MWZ and Outbreak are popular with the wider COD player base, despite what a lot of older Zombies players, including myself, like to play. That's a fact, and that game mode can be great. MWZ had potential, it was just neglected near the end of its life. But right now, the primary and original player base of Zombies has a bad taste in their mouth due to the attempts at extract-style zombies being poor. So before Treyarch tries to bring this back, it is extremely important to regain trust with the community with a solid season of all round-based zombies. That includes the stretch from launch to after the 4th DLC. That's pretty much it. A bit of a shorter video today since I'm actually out traveling and didn't have a ton of time to get into a very complex topic. With everything I've heard about Black Ops 6, I am cautiously optimistic. Treyarch has had a good amount of time to work on this game, not being pushed into it due to COVID or Sledgehammer not being able to finish their game, and seems to be implementing what the community has been asking for. Until next time, I'm Coach Ferret, and thank you all for watching.